What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. The UFC 303 pre-fight press conference just took place. Let's recap what happened. Overall, it was pretty mid. It was a pretty mid press conference, but we're going to focus on one massive thing, and then two that are interesting to talk about. So let's start off with the smaller one. Brian Ortega nearly finesses a 303K bonus, but for International Fight Week, there's going to be two fight of the nights. They were talking about how Brian Ortega and Diego Lopez and Alex Pereira, Yuri Prochazka are two incredible fights. And I forget which journalist asked, but we have two fight of the night bonuses now. And for some reason, Dana White cannot fork up 600 grand and make it 303K per bonus. I don't know why. The dude has so much money and he cannot fork up 600 bands for UFC 303. But now we have two fight of the night bonuses. I am assuming it's going to go to the co-main and main event. Brian Ortega did his fucking best to get that figure up to 303K, but Dana White is apparently cheap and broke. Dana White's broke, so we cannot have 303K fight of the night bonuses, which sucks, but at the end of the day, we have two of them now, so that's cool, right? Yay. But now let's move on to the massive thing. And before we jump into it, I'll switch screens. Follow the Twitter real quick. Ian Garry single-handedly saved the press conference. The UFC 303 press conference was absolutely carried by Ian Machado Garry. The UFC fumbled the fight with Colby Covington, man. The UFC fumbled the fight with Colby Covington. That would have been one of the biggest fights to wrap up 2024. You could have put it as the co-main event to the Conor McGregor card. The back and forth between Ian Garry and Colby Covington would have been legendary. But Ian Garry, excuse me. We have Ian Garry versus Michael Venom Page, and they carried the press conference. They put on the best performances, and it wasn't even really Michael Venom Page because he got brutally exposed for being a fraud in this press conference. It was ultimately carried by Michael Venom Page. Now, I'm going to get into this right here. This is my tweet. We're going to watch the clip, but before this, Ian Garry talks about how Michael Venom Page is mentally broken and how he wasn't even a Bellator champion, and now he's coming into the UFC to pretty much verify his career and his resume, which it's kind of true, man. The dude fought a bunch of bums in Bellator and couldn't even be a UFC champion, and now he's coming over to the UFC to verify his career. It's all facts from Ian Machado Garry. Most overhated fighter in the UFC. He completely carried this press conference. Imagine if that was Colby Covington. But the big thing that I want to get to now is that Ian Machado Garry brutally exposed Michael Venom Page for being a fraud and trying to buy information from Chute Boxe about Ian Machado Garry's camp, his training camp. Apparently, Michael Venom Page and his coach were offering thousands of dollars to members of Chute Boxe to get information about Ian Garry's camp. And pretty much Ian Garry said, I'm going to beat your ass on Saturday night, and then I'm going to expose you, and you're going to get suspended. In terms of another guy destroying and ending and finishing another man's career, if Ian Garry goes out there and brutally knocks out Michael Venom Page, dances on his knocked out unconscious body, and then exposes him for being a fraud and trying to buy information, say he exposes the text messages and all that, and then the dude gets suspended, and then imagine they cut him from the UFC. Imagine they cut him from the UFC, and then Ian Garry, as I said earlier, talks about he only came to the UFC to verify his career. That would be the ultimate one guy ending another man's career. But let's watch this video, and we'll talk about it right after.
It's never a case. It's not in here. Look, I'm so talented. This guy couldn't win a world title at Bellator, and he's trying to come over here and he's trying to do something different. What he's doing in the UFC is trying to legitimize his career. I'm going to put an end to his career on Saturday night. I'm going to finish him, and I'm going to send him back to London. He's going to be on his own. He's going to be in his head. I've already broke this man's confidence down so much He knows I don't need to say what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm on about. Your self-confidence is fucked. You know what I'm talking about, and it will come out. It'll come out, kid. But your brain is fucking scurrying for excuses. Yo, this guy is hilarious. Just remember. Do you want to say it or will I? Do you want to say it or will I? What am I talking about? Tell the people. Did you and your team offer thousands of dollars to get information in Chute Boxe from my boys? Did you send someone a message and offer thousands for information, and you couldn't infiltrate the camp? You couldn't get into what? The Chute Boxe family's too tight. Your little fucking rat jiu-jitsu coach home on offered money to one of my Brazilian friends, and you got nothing. Saturday night, you're fucked.
Okay, so that's crazy, man. That is really crazy. And if as Ian Garry is pretty much exposing him, Michael Venom Page is just talking over him. He's fiddling with his all the things. He's clearly nervous, and not once did he deny it. You could watch the entire press conference. He did not deny any of these allegations. I think this is pure facts from Ian Garry, and I expect him to expose Michael Venom Page after the fight, and I expect Michael Venom Page to get suspended and cut from the UFC. This is actually crazy. If Ian Garry eventually fights against Colby Covington, and this dude gets his hands on a world title, he's gonna be a massive star. He's going to be a massive star in the UFC. He absolutely carried this press conference and absolutely cooked. He cooked Michael Venom Page in this press conference, man. That's very, very interesting. I want to know what you guys think of all of this in the comments. I was not expecting this at all. The face-off was intense between these two. Saturday night just got a whole lot more interesting. He pretty much said Michael Venom Page and his coach offered thousands of dollars to get information on Ian Garry's camp at Chute Boxe, and he came up with nothing. It's literally like Drake trying to get receipts on K-Dot. Like, this is literally what we're doing here. And he got nothing. MVP got fuck all. Holy cow. Wow, I think it's going to be completely true. The way MVP was, speaking over Ian Garry as he was exposing him, the way he was fiddling with his glasses, the way, I don't even know what to say, man. The way he didn't deny it either. I think Ian Garry's really going to expose this, man. And say he gets a viral KO, the dude's stardom is going to shoot up. Wow, I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Ian Garry took over the press conference. I want to talk about, some other guys real quick. Brian Ortega did his thing, try to finesse Dana White. Diego Lopez did his thing. He'll be a pretty big draw in the future. Alex Pereira and Yuri Prohaska talked about some voodoo shit for a really long time. But this was the biggest. This was the highlight of the press conference. Ian Garry brutally exposes Michael Venom Page of being a fraud, being an absolute fraud. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Alex Pereira, Yuri Prohaska, as I was talking about, talked about some voodoo shit. Yuri says he has full self-confidence. Alex was kind of saying how Yuri is not, fully confident in himself. That's not my fault. And then Yuri claps back with, as I said, I'm fully self-confident. The voodoo stuff he's doing is not right, and all this. They had a pretty intense stare down, but the entire press conference was focused on Michael Venom Page and Ian Machado Garry. Now, this is very interesting. Say Ian Garry gets it done. Does he still expose and release maybe some emails, some text messages against Michael Venom Page? I fully expect him to. What does he do if he loses? Because if Ian Garry wins, that's absolutely massive. If Ian Garry gets this done for himself, that is absolutely massive. But if MVP gets it done, that just hurts. That just hurts, man. I think Ian Garry is one of the most overhated guys in the UFC. People are just grabbing onto narratives, created from stupid people on the internet like Sean Strickland, who doesn't have a damn clue what he's talking about. Ian Garry took over the press conference, as I said. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think what Ian Garry said is true? Do you think he's lying? What do you think Michael Venom Page is going to do about this? And click that subscribe button for more videos every other day at the minimum. Go to the description. Follow all my social medias. Thank you. Peace out.